Now, there's been much talk about the launch of Samsung's latest handsets and South Africans sharing in the excitement at the global launch of a number of new products, with many experts lamenting the plateauing of mobile technology. Well, what can the mobile giant put out there that can really excite and delight a fickle and oversaturated consumer market, I wonder? Well, I sat down with Samsung South Africa Integrated Mobility Director Justin Hume just before the big reveal. Here's the obvious question. What is integrated mobility? Explain that to me.
Integrated mobility, these days, a mobile phone is so much more than simply a device you hold in your hand. Samsung has a stated objective that by 2020, so next year, effectively, 100% of our products will be interoperable. So that means that your smartphone will talk to your TV, talks to your refrigerator, your aircon, your vacuum cleaner, and so forth. So really, integrated mobility, it's about bringing that all together, making sure that the smartphone at the hub drives the personal agenda, the business agenda of your life.
How close are we to that dream of pure mobility, or is it a moving target the whole time?
We had 4G technology, and that suddenly gave us a world of Facebook and Twitter and the like. Instagram, now suddenly we're going to 5G technology. That's going to give us a completely new level of opportunity. So the goalposts do shift, definitely, in that regard. But the connected home, the connected lifestyle, that's here, that's present today as we stand. And I think you're really starting to see machine-to-machine integration in all spheres of our lives.
The counterpoint to all of that is a sense, possibly, that we're seeing a plateauing in sales worldwide of mobile devices. Does that mitigate against this dream that you're outlining?
So you're entirely correct in the sense that, yes, the growth curve has slowed down, and there is that plateauing. But I think what we're finding now is consumers are maybe now in their fourth, fifth iteration of a smartphone. So they're now quite astute. They're quite aware as to what they're looking for in their device, what they're aiming to buy. So I think as we fulfill those needs with different products, we have more opportunity for the smartphone market. But again, I think it's the next step of that ecosystem. So one, it's about what's on board the device and how we bring that world onto the device. But secondly, the peripheral devices that go around this. So a huge area of growth for us right now is what we call wearable technologies. So whether it's the new Galaxy Buds, our in-ear speakers taking place, the Galaxy Watches, health, how we monitor our health, and very shortly going into wearable technologies within our clothes and within our cars and the like. So those peripheral products are becoming part of the complete solution.
You're constantly striving for a new horizon then when it comes to technology. What is the thought process then behind next generation thinking? What are the guys in the East doing in order to meet those needs that you're outlining to us?
The first starting point, it seems remarkably obvious. We go out and ask people. We say, what is it that you're utilizing your device for? And it's not just about, well, I do something with my phone, but what is the purpose? What is the why behind that? And then we start to say, well, what are the barriers that are involved in your everyday life? And our defining statement that we have is do what you can't. We take it from a point that our objective is to overcome the barriers that are currently in existence. Basically, what is impossible today, we create tools, technologies to overcome those barriers. So we try and approach it from the consumer perspective. We say, right, what is it that we're not fulfilling at this point in time? And then how do we go back there and use our technologies to do that? And I think it's a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination comes into it. So imagining what this world could look like as we take the journeys and iterations through the technology.
Fair point, but therein lies a lot of risk and chance taking. Because I would ask you, is there a line between practicality and necessity on the one hand and just simple intrusion and almost flim-flam on the other?
I think you've got to be careful to not become or not come out with novelty. That's something that could be flash in the pan. I've often said that, when technology becomes invisible is when it becomes useful. If I have to work at it, it's probably novelty in that regard. But when it's simply enabling in my life, it makes a fundamental difference. So I think with that in mind, we fulfill today's needs, but we also have to put that unexpressed need, that next statement in front of the consumer to say, hey, what about this? Have you tried this aspect? And therein comes the fascinating marketing challenge behind it as to how do we express that need.
In expectation of our discussion today, I went back to my smartphone and I had a look at what I really needed and what I really use. So email, yeah. Phone, yeah. Bit of WhatsApp, yeah. Bit of Twitter, maybe. Silence. So what do people really want these days from a smartphone?
Can I throw it back to you?
Yes.
How did you...
I'm doing the interview, by the way.
How did you utilize Twitter, WhatsApp? How easy was it? How intuitive was it? So
it was I hate to say this, but it was an extension of my work being.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, I guess, what you want.
Correct. So the innovations hit you already. Screen technology, going full screen. It's not for the sake of being full screen. It's for the sake that when you are engaging with YouTube, that there's nothing obstructing your view. You're getting the information. It's with our new One UI that's come through. So that all the work that I have to do on the phone is in the lower portion of the device. All the content that I want to take in is expressed in the top of the device. These seem subtle. They seem almost nothing in some ways. And yet the remarkable change that it brings to your experience is phenomenal.
Let's push that now into the marketing aspect of what you do. These days, how important is brand, or people buying on cost and capability rather, and that the brand is not that important?
So if you had asked me this question a day before SA's budget speech, I would have said it's brand. I think
and
today,
for the record, we are recording this interview a few hours after the budget speech.
So I would imagine cost is becoming a factor. No. So studies would tell us that between 48 and 52%, I mean, to be fairly specific, is a brand purchase decision in that regard. However, the brand has to have built, obviously, some meaning within the individual's life. Secondary to that is cost. You know, I go back to the comment of they're on their fifth iteration of a smartphone, so they know what they're looking for. So the consumer doesn't want to be overpaying in that regard, and I think there's now a plethora of brands in the different price points and a plethora of products that each of us bring to the market. So brand is still incredibly powerful, and we will continue to protect them to drive that. Cost and features are but right up there with it as well. And I think, again, it's about, to the earlier point of, it's not about what novelties we're putting forward, it's about what meaningful progression we're making. And the South African consumer is incredibly savvy in that regard.
And it's the meaningful progression, and maybe this is a good place to end the conversation, it's the meaningful progression then which engenders brand loyalty. So unless you're innovating, unless you're integrating, as you've pointed out, then you're going to lose that brand loyalty, yeah?
Correct. And I think as we talk about different segments of the market, and we talk about different age groups and the like, and particularly what we're finding in our younger audience coming through is that the brand has to be on point. It's no longer just about first to market, but it's about first to heart. You know, you can be a number one brand. That just means people buy a lot of your product, but it doesn't mean that you number one in heart. And I think loyalty is becoming ever harder to attract and to retain. And it's only brands that are relevant, that are talking the language of today. Not how does that market tap into our product, but how does our product tap into that market. That's when you win. That's when you get the loyalty and the repeat purchase intent, if I can put it that way.
Next on the program, why this cheekily named app had consumers smiling amid all the load-shedding darkness.